China is accusing Australia of political posturing over its decision to join a US-initiated diplomatic boycott of the Beijing Winter Olympics to be held in February. A day earlier, it had accused the United States that set this ball in motion of political grandstanding and of political manipulation. It said it was unnecessarily politicizing the world of sport and that the US actions would undermine future bilateral communications, especially as it comes just weeks after a high-level presidential summit between President Xi Jinping of China and President Biden, at which both leaders agreed on the need for more communication and more cooperation on international areas of dispute, rather than falling back into the tit-for-tat exchange of sanctions which have dominated much of their communication in recent years. Scott Morrison, the Australian Prime Minister, said any reprisals towards Australia over its decision to join the diplomatic boycott would be completely unjustified, and he says this is an entirely separate matter from the world of sport, and he, like the US, has talked up the frustrations he feels with regards to China's response to allegations of human rights abuses in the northwestern region of Xinjiang as being the primary reason behind the diplomatic boycott. New Zealand had earlier also said it would not send high-level officials to Beijing, but had said COVID-19 was the main reason behind that, seeking to downplay the political motivation behind its actions. But attention is now turning to whether or not the European Union, which is said to be in talks about whether it will join this diplomatic boycott, will also state that it's planning not to send any high-level officials, all of which will add to pressure on Beijing, as this will no longer be a bilateral spat with Washington as it had been at the beginning of the week, but instead be much more of a global coordinated move against China with regards to its human rights responses. Beijing, though, has been very dismissive of this whole process. It says that, in its own words from the Foreign Ministry spokesman, nobody cares if the politicians come to the games or not. He said this will not affect in any way the streamlined, safe and smooth operation of what he said will be a very successful Beijing Winter Olympics. Richard Kimber, SABC News in Hong Kong.